Hello and welcome back. In previous lecture, it was the last lecture in hydraulic system simples, and to be frank, when we planned to create this course, we thought of keeping it up to section 2, where we will talk only on introduction to hydraulic systems and hydraulic system simples. But then we realized, why don't we add 2 more sections to discuss in detail the components of a typical hydraulic system, what are their functions, types, and mode of operations, and why don't we also talk about hydraulic safety hazards and maintenance requirement troubleshooting. So we created additional 2 sections. Section number 3 will talk about hydraulic system components in details, and section number 4 will be the last section in this course. We'll talk about hydraulic system safety, maintenance, and troubleshooting. So let's start with section number 3, hydraulic system components. And in this section, we'll cover 7 components or 7 items. When we will cover those items, we will clearly explain their basic function or role, what are their types, and what are their mode of operation. So let's start. We will be having in the first part various type of hydraulic system components details. Then we'll talk about ancillary equipment. Ancillary equipment here means the oil tank, the filters, and accumulator, and coolers. Part 3 will talk about hydraulic hoses and piping, which is responsible for conveying the hydraulic oil between the various equipment. Then we'll talk about pumps. After that, pressure regulator, then control valves, and last will be the actuators or the cylinder with pistons, who will be responsible for delivering the force. So let's start the first lecture in section number 3, and it will be lecture number 19 in the entire course as Introduction to Hydraulic System Components. We discussed earlier that this sketch, we need to keep in mind, it shows a simplified typical hydraulic system, where here I have the oil, and this is the fluid or oil tank or reservoir. Then the fluid goes through a filter for cleaning. Then from the filter we go to the pump, and after the pump it will pass by pressure regulator to control the pressure, then control valves, then the actuators, which is an enclosed cylinder with piston and rod carrying or doing the intended function we need. So this is the basic hydraulic system sketch explaining various components, and those components will be, or the components which will be discussed during this section: hydraulic fluid or hydraulic oil, ancillary equipment like storage tank, filter, accumulators, coolers, hydraulic hoses or pipes, pumps, pressure regulator, control valve, and actuator. Thank you, and see you in next lecture.